Okay, there's a lot of questions people ask about the procedure. So the most frequently asked questions is, can I drive home from the hospital? No, you should not drive home from the hospital because you've had an anesthetic, and you shouldn't drive for 24 hours. So it's best to have family or friend with you to go home from the hospital. Another question is, how do I know if this treatment was successful? And what do we do if it's not? So that is one of the biggest worries people have. We've been doing this procedure here at our cancer center since 1999. So our doctors have a lot of experience and we've had very good success. But with anything, there's no 100% guarantee, so we monitor you closely. After the procedure, we'll bring you back for your regular checkups, and we always ask you to have the PSA ahead of time, and watching that number is the best way for us to monitor if everything is good. Now the PSA sometimes can fluctuate a bit, and there's different theories of why that happens, but they've found over time that they don't need to get excited when there is a small change, because very often if there's a spike or a rise in the PSA, it will come back down on its own. So it's more the trend of the number than the actual number of the PSA. So if we were to find that when you came for your visits, the PSA was going up and then it continued to go up over several visits, at that point we would be a little more concerned and we may order some other tests. Sometimes people ask, like, how do you check? Do I need to have another biopsy? That's not usually required. If the PSA was to change, we more often would start with ordering a CAT scan, bone scan, doing some other blood work to assess if they've found that the cancer has spread or come back in the same spot. So it's not something that's happens frequently, but it's a possibility, so we always monitor everything, well. If the cancer was to come back, there's several other new treatments that have come out over the last few years. I mean, there's hormone medications that they use sometimes. There's certain situations where more radiation can be given, and sometimes there's chemotherapy. So these are all things that you can discuss with your doctor. But we have had very good success, so hopefully there'll be no need for that. Another question is, will this affect my sexual function? The advantage of this brachytherapy is that we're treating right in the prostate. So when we do that, we're not affecting the nerves around the prostate. So with the permanent seed implant, the seeds are going right into the prostate. So like I say, we're not affecting the nerves, or we're not cutting anything there. So in most cases, people can maintain their sexual function. It's not going to improve things. If it's at a certain state prior to treatment, it's not necessarily going to get improved, but it might not get worse. Now with the HDR, the high dose rate, we do supplement with external radiation, so we're treating the prostate and a small margin around the prostate. So the nerves are in that field. Sometimes they can be, a bit irritated. So sometimes people find, a couple of years after the treatment that they may find some changes. If they're sexually active prior, their function may stay the same or may decrease a bit, but sometimes down the road they may find that they have some decreased function where they may need to use medications to help with that, and your doctor can order those things for you. Urinary tract function. Most people do not have incontinence with this type of treatment. Again, we're not cutting any nerves, and we're not changing the anatomy there. The side effects that we reviewed in the video with the frequency and getting up at night, those kind of symptoms can vary from person to person, but generally incontinence is not caused from this treatment. Those are the main questions I think most people ask.